Oh my god, I had to kill a fly right before making this video, but it's okay, we're all good. We're all good. Anyways, today's video is sponsored by, I'm kidding, I don't have a sponsor. The drink for today's video is limeade, mixed with a little bit of water. So, let me guess, you're trying to get back into reading again. And I think everyone feels this way at some point, you know? Sometimes when we're just like endlessly scrolling online, things start to get a little boring and we start to fantasize about the times that we're in middle school reading Harry Potter or something like that. You know, when I think back on it, I don't even think I was a real bookworm when I was younger. I literally just reread the Percy Jackson series like over and over again. Like I would just read just anything within the Percy Jackson universe. I would just consistently read those books and then just consider myself to be a bookworm. I feel the need to read more than ever, and I just wanted to give some tips on how you can also get back into reading. We miss the days of the dystopian novels, the Divergence, the Hunger Games. Remember when like book to movie adaptations were everywhere? I missed that time, and it made people want to read the books more. Even though that era is over, I think there's even more of a book community now. There always has been, but it's time to join that community, and I think it's time to read a little bit more. I used to not be someone who reads a lot, but now I feel like I'm reading a lot more, and I've developed my own little tips and tricks of how to read more, how to just become like more of an avid reader rather than like putting a book down for like 5 months. I still do that, but growth, people, it takes time. My first tip to get back into reading is to romanticize the act of reading. This might sound silly at first, but honestly, do I want to do certain hobbies just for the pure aesthetic of it? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I want to live that, you know, academia life, whether it's dark academia, light academia. It's just cute to have the right mindset when going into a book. Feel like you're the main character sitting in the cafeteria. Cafeteria? Sorry, this is editing, Olivia. And I think what I meant to say here is cafe, not cafeteria. Just, you know, pretend that you're in France at a French cafe, oui baguette, with a croissant in your hand, Timothée Chalamet on the side. That's what I meant. That's the kind of atmosphere I was trying to create. But no, I was thinking of like a school cafeteria. Anyways, continue the video. In their own little world, reading a book. It's just such a great feeling. I actually have a particular spot at home that I sometimes like to read. It's like a little reading nook. So I'll just sit there, you know, snuggled in a heated blanket with a cup of passion tea and maybe some kind of little sweet treat. Just like little things like that. It's the little things that make you want to read. It becomes more of like a fun activity rather than thinking of it as a chore that you have to do throughout the day. I think romanticizing anything in life could make you even more motivated to do that thing. So I would definitely suggest that. And then another tip that I would suggest that I'm not sure if people say a lot, but it's definitely helped me, and it's to reread a book that you've already read before. So for me, I wanted to read a book that I considered to be my favorite at one point, and I actually have it right next to me. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe used to be one of my favorite books. I first read this book when I was a sophomore in high school, and I read it again as a sophomore in college, so definitely had like a new perspective of it. I still enjoyed the book, and I think it really propelled me into reading more stuff because I don't know about you guys, but I have the memory of a goldfish. I will forget 70% of the novel after about a week from reading it. So because it's been a couple of years since I read that book, when I read it again for the second time, I could faintly remember some of the main plot points and stuff, but I couldn't remember it that well. So it felt like a fresh new read, and I don't know if it's gonna be like that for everyone, but I don't know. It's like you're going into something knowing that it will be a positive experience and it might make you want to read even more books in the future. Another book that I also reread in my reading journey, I guess you could call it, is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. You know, one of the most popular Tumblr-y books in 2013 or something like that. I don't think the book really still stands, but again, rereading it, I have this new perspective of it, you know? You could take something that you once loved and maybe you might not like it as much, maybe you like it even more, maybe you might connect with the main characters, you never know. Rereading a book that you've already read could be really helpful, just getting in the habit of reading again. And then my next tip would be, sorry, you could hear it playing. My next tip would be to read using an audiobook. So for me, I started to do this while I read actually one of my favorite books now. I have it next to me too. When I decided to read Dune, which I mean is kind of hefty. So I think reading with an audiobook, so you're looking at the pages while listening, could really be helpful with just like keeping track of what's going on. I think also the audio helps you stay focused because it could be hard to focus and just drift off while reading. I still do that sometimes. And then sometimes the audiobooks also just like give spice. That's like a Dune pun because like spice is a big thing. But sometimes audiobooks could really just add spice to what's going on if the person reading it has like character voices or if there's sound effects and stuff. It can make the experience even better, I think. I mean, audiobooks are basically like listening to a podcast. So if you want, you don't have to read along with a book. You could just like listen to an audiobook while painting your nails or cleaning your room or, I don't know, feeding your pet turtle. I don't know. And there's a reason why all these freaking YouTubers are always being sponsored by Audible all the time. They know what they're talking about. Audible rocks. So definitely recommend getting it if you don't have it. And you could also just listen to audiobooks on YouTube too. I've done that before. Like, I kid you not, I could not get through most of the books I have to read for school if it weren't for audiobooks. Bless these people reading like 600-page books because I couldn't even get through it. My next tip, and this one I have a hard time following myself, but I'm still gonna recommend it anyway, is to read at a specific time of day. For me, I found that reading when I get up or reading right before I go to bed is like the best times to just open up any book. I'll admit sometimes like I get kind of trapped in the novel and I don't want to do anything for the rest of the day. I feel like reading in the morning gives you that light academia vibes, you know, rather than just scrolling through your phone, which is also nice too, but reading just makes me feel refreshed for some reason. It's very nice. And then reading at night just puts you in like an easy, calm mood. So then you kind of just fall asleep while reading. Reading makes me fall asleep regardless of what book it is. I just get tired. So I try not to read too much in one sitting. Unless the book is like incredibly gripping, then I'll just keep on going. But yeah, I think it's helpful just to like set a time, whether that be like maybe 30 minutes or even just like 20 minutes, an hour of time of reading that you want for yourself in the morning, afternoon, evening. I recommend morning and evening, but it could be any time really. And then my fifth tip to get back into reading is to try to read, even if it's just a little, every single day. Again, I am not perfect at this habit, but I try my best. Even if it's just like 5 pages, just even reading that could really just like push you to read more rather than reading like 100 pages in one sitting and then putting down the book for like 3 weeks. I think it's better to like read in increments. Unless the book is really, really good and you just want to read the whole thing at once, that's fine, do you. But if you're genuinely not enjoying it, I would also say that it's fine to not finish something. There are some books that I will just, I just can't get through it. I can't, you know. But I think that for any book, it's possible to get through if you just take it step by step. I try to read at least like 20 to 50 pages every single day, which isn't too bad. Like I try to read like 25 pages in the morning and 25 pages at night. Sometimes I don't even end up doing that. But even reading like 5 pages in a day, it's still something, you know, like it still counts. So like, for example, I also feel like it depends on what book you're reading. So I don't feel like, the book's right next to me, but I actually don't feel like picking it up. I love it, but I'm just lazy. I recently read Talia Hibbert, I hope I'm saying her name right. I recently read her book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I could not stop reading it. So I know I read like over 100 pages every day, and I finished in like 3 days, like very fast. If you wanted to take your time with it, you could probably read like 20, 50 pages a day, you know, read it within like 2 weeks or something. But then when I was reading Dune, I tried to read like a minimum of 100 pages a day. So I read like 50 pages in the morning and then 50 pages at night. And then that helped me get through the book within a week. But also just because the book was so good, I didn't mind reading so much. And I loved it. So again, depending on the book, you might want to read more pages every day than others. But I think setting a goal for yourself can really help motivate you to do this in general. So my 6th point is to read books that you genuinely find interesting. I cannot stress this point enough. And this is where I say, stop the aesthetic nonsense. Just because it might look cute, dark academia aesthetic to read a classic novel doesn't mean that you should necessarily do it. Doesn't mean that it's really catered to you and it fits your personal taste, you know? I really say read things that you look at the plot and you're like, yes, I would like to read that. If it doesn't sound interesting, if you're watching as a movie, don't read it, you know? Just be honest with yourself. Don't force yourself to read something that's too dense and heavy or you just find boring, you know? I have to admit, I am one of those people that want to be like, oh, I've read every classic novel, from Frankenstein to all of Shakespeare's plays, but, you know, it's not me, and I'm fine with that. I think that reading classics every so often can be pretty good, and sometimes they are great books. I mean, I'm pretty sure most are, they're just sometimes a little dense. For example, when I wanted to get back into reading like a year ago, I tried reading The Odyssey is it by Homer? I don't remember, but I just remember thinking like, oh my god, The Odyssey, it's a classic. I love Greek mythology. And I would read this book in between classes, you know, when classes were still in person. And I was like, I'm gonna be that girl, that smart girl who's reading instead of being on her phone. But instead, I was literally rereading the same paragraphs over and over again because my mind would just drift away and I could not pay attention to the book at all. I'm sorry, Odysseus, you're not doing it for me. But it's okay because even though I only got through like 150 pages of that book, once I put it down, I started to read other books that I knew that I'd be quicker at reading and I was comfortable with, and I found the plot to be super entertaining. I found myself loving reading more, and I do want to get back to reading The Odyssey at some point. So yeah, it's okay to put a book down and maybe come back to it in the future. But the point is that just read books that you know you will enjoy. Like, I think for most people and for me, that's reading adult fiction and maybe some YA fiction, you know? Those are pretty easily digestible books to read within like even a week, so I would definitely recommend reading those. So I think if you start from there and then you can level up to those big brain books, that could be a great setup for expanding your library of knowledge, I guess, and just reading more and becoming an avid reader in general. So my last tip is kind of just like a fun one, and it's to watch people who talk about books. So I have to admit, I think that BookTube has definitely played a huge role in why I wanted to start reading more. So for example, of course, if you're watching this, I'm already assuming that you have watched Carly. She's a very popular YouTube channel now. She's blown up so much in the past months, and she talks about like the favorite books of like a lot of celebrities and stuff like that, and some of her favorite books in general. Watching her talk about books made me want to talk about books or just read books in general. I can't help but feel like once I like something, like if it's a TV show character, even a YouTuber, I have to implement some of their personality into my daily life. That could be for the better or for the worse. This time I think it's for the better because it's making me want to just pick up books more and just try to read things that I genuinely like. Another booktuber that I really love watching is Jack Edwards. He's so funny and witty and just so smart. Both Carly and Jack are just so smart. I truly look up to them. It's inspiring to see people just go through books and talk about them and recommend more, and then after watching them, at some point. You kind of like create like a mental list of books that you really want to get to at some point, which of course just motivates you even more to get into reading. Just get into that Barnes & Noble right now and start picking up those books. I also think that book talk on TikTok can be like a huge contributor into reading more. It can be really helpful. Honestly, some of my favorite books I've learned from book talk, like The Song of Achilles. I really enjoyed Red, White, and Royal Blue. I also read Normal People because of book talk. So yeah, I definitely think that if you're gonna be on social media, which is totally fine, when you watch people talk about something that you also want to take part in, it only inspires you to want to do that thing even more. So I think definitely listening to people talk about books made me want to become more of a reader, and I think it can help you too. So yeah, what can I say? Run over to your local bookstore, pick up some books, go to your closest Barnes & Noble, get something at Starbucks, get that half off cookie, you know, they always give you those coupons, and just enjoy a good book. Even if it's like a manga or a graphic novel, that still counts. Any book is a book, you know? And just enjoy life, have fun, take care. And yeah, I'll see you again soon. Bye! Wait, I usually wave with this hand. Bye!